Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. And Raw tonight, of course, was from the Performance Center in Orlando. And if you guys haven't checked out my previous video that I uploaded earlier, I reviewed the underrated Joe Dante film, Matinee. It was a film that I wanted to review for quite a while, but forgot about it, didn't really get around to reviewing it. So I finally reviewed it. So if you guys want to check out the review, definitely do. But Monday Night Raw tonight, this show was garbage. This show was absolute shit, in my opinion. Last week, WWE gave us a decent Monday Night Raw. I could say the same for SmackDown, too. They gave us a good SmackDown on Friday night. This week for Monday Night Raw, garbage. Absolutely terrible. Terrible show. Awful. So what do we see tonight? We saw a match between Aleister Black and Seth Rollins, which possibly was the only good match on Monday Night Raw tonight. And we saw Apollo Crews and Kevin Owens versus Angel Garza and Andrade, Cien, Almas. We saw the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits do bowling. I'm like, okay, I don't even care. We saw them do basketball, then axe throwing, and then last week they did golf, and now this week bowling. And then in the main event, we saw Drew McIntyre versus MVP, which I didn't give a shit about. And then we had champion versus champion, Charlotte versus Asuka. We've seen Charlotte and Asuka go at it so many other times before. Nothing different. And then we also had Rey Mysterio's retirement, thing that they were advertising, which to me, it sounds more like a work to me. But anyways, let's get on with the Monday Night Raw review. So Monday Night Raw opened up with Seth Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah, and his disciples, Buddy Murphy and Austin Theory. So they came out, and of course we had the NXT superstars and future developmental talents in the crowd, of course, making some noise, delivering energy throughout the show. So Rollins, Murphy, and Theory came out. They got in the ring. Rollins got on the mic, and he ended up saying that this is a huge night with a lot going on. He ends up talking about his match with Aleister Black happening soon. And Rollins ended up saying that Aleister had left him no choice but to enlighten him himself. So Rollins ended up saying that Rey Mysterio will be on Monday Night Raw later on to speak to everyone. Rollins ended up believing that Mysterio won't be able to announce his own retirement. He ends up saying that's understandable. So Seth Rollins went on about how Mysterio being sacrificed for the greater good for the greater good of Monday Night Raw. And he went on to say that he's prepared a video package to honor Rey Mysterio's career. And we saw a video package of Rey Mysterio's highlights, with him winning the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 22. That was shown. And also when Seth Rollins ended up attacking Mysterio a couple of weeks ago. And then when the video package was over, we saw Seth Rollins saying that it would be an honor to personally retire Rey Mysterio. So then out came Aleister Black. Aleister Black ended up rushing to the ring, starts beating up on Seth Rollins, and then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. But overall, very meh segment to open Monday Night Raw. Just very meh, in my opinion. And then we saw Aleister Black versus Seth Rollins, which, in my opinion, was the only best match on Monday Night Raw tonight. This was a very good match. And when the match started, you had Seth Rollins and Aleister Black. They were staring each other down. Aleister Black ended up striking first at Seth Rollins. They went back and forth. And Rollins started fighting back at Aleister Black, but Aleister ended up sending him to the floor. And Rollins ended up pulling Aleister Black to the floor. Aleister Black ended up kicking Seth Rollins in the gut. You had Rollins drop kick Aleister Black. And later on, out came Humberto Carrillo. He came out with a steel chair, and he stood over Aleister Black, ended up stopping Seth Rollins' disciples, Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy, from doing anything to Aleister Black. And there was a point in the match where Rollins ended up sending Aleister Black over the top rope to the floor. And we saw Seth Rollins end up delivering a sling blade to Aleister Black. Went for the cover. Aleister ended up kicking out at 2. So Rollins went to the top, and Aleister Black ended up dodging it because Seth Rollins ended up coming off the top with a knee. Aleister ended up dodging it, and Aleister Black went to hit the moonsault on Seth Rollins, which he did, and he got a 2 counts because Seth Rollins ended up kicking out of it. Yeah, Rollins fighting back, and he hit the Falcon Arrow to Aleister Black. Aleister ended up kicking out at 2. So we had Rollins fighting back on the ring apron, and Aleister Black had control of the match. Aleister ended up sending Seth Rollins into the ring post and then to the floor. Aleister ended up nailing a moonsault from the ring apron onto Seth Rollins, which was awesome. Love how Aleister Black's moonsaults look. Way better moonsault than Charlotte. And we had like 3 commercial breaks during this match, which there was no need for 3 commercial breaks during all this. So you had Seth Rollins. He went to the top. He ended up doing a frog splash to Aleister Black, but Aleister ended up dodging it. So Aleister Black ended up dodging the stomp, and he locked in the armbar on Seth Rollins. And we had Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy trying to distract Aleister Black because Aleister was going for the Black Mass to Seth Rollins. So Humberto Carrillo ends up distracting Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy, and it led to Aleister Black win the match. He ended up rolling up Seth Rollins. So there you go. Aleister Black ended up winning the match. Seth Rollins was in shock. So post-match, Seth Rollins ended up ordering Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy to go in and attack Aleister Black, which they do. Humberto Carrillo ends up getting involved, and he was beat up by Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy. So then Seth Rollins ends up delivering the stomp on Humberto Carrillo. Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy were holding Aleister Black. They were forcing Aleister to watch Seth Rollins deliver the stomp to Humberto Carrillo. Then after that, Seth Rollins was taunting Aleister Black, and then he delivers the stomp to Aleister Black, and pretty much that was basically what happened. So, but overall, very good match from both Aleister Black and Seth Rollins. Really enjoyed it. And like I said, this was the only best match on Monday Night Raw tonight. So then after that, we had Charlie Caruso. She was backstage with Angel Garza and Zelina Vega. And we went to Garza's win over Kevin Owens from last week. We saw a recap of that from last week. So then Zelina Vega ends up interrupting Charlie Caruso. But Garza ends up interrupting Zelina Vega. And he ends up saying to her that he's got this. So Angel Garza was shown flirting with Charlie Caruso. Zelina Vega ended up saying that they believe the win over Kevin Owens was triumphant because he saw something and also took it. So Garza ends up giving a rose to Charlie Caruso. So Garza ends up walking off. Zelina Vega ends up grabbing the rose from Charlie Caruso, and that Angel Garza ended up giving to Charlie Caruso. So she ends up grabbing the rose and rips it up. She smiles, and then she walked off. So that was that. And then we had an appearance from Shawn Michaels, Heartbreak Kid. Good to see Shawn Michaels on TV. And he was here just promoting, talking about Randy Orton versus Edge, the greatest wrestling match ever, which I am sick and tired of hearing, because it's not going to be the greatest wrestling match ever. So Shawn Michaels ended up picking Edge to win this match against Randy Orton. So there you go. But it was good seeing Shawn Michaels. But I'm tired of hearing the greatest wrestling match ever with Randy Orton and Edge happening at Backlash. I'm tired of it. Because it's not going to be the greatest wrestling match ever. So then after that, we saw MVP. MVP was backstage with Lana. Of course, MVP was going to be taking on Drew McIntyre. So both MVP and Lana had some words. Lana ended up slapping MVP in the face. And because they were both accusing each other of trying to use Bobby Lashley. So that was that. Don't even care. I don't fucking care. So then we had Kayla Braxton. Kayla Braxton was in the ring. She ends up introducing Apollo Crews, the new United States champion. And Apollo got a pop from, the NXT superstars and the future developmental people in the crowd at ringside. So out came Apollo Crews, which I heard in an article that Vince McMahon is giving up on Apollo Crews. I mean, that's what I heard, though, but watch. That title, that United States Championship is going to be taken off Apollo Crews soon. If Vince McMahon is done pushing Apollo Crews, from what I read in the article, saying that Vince is giving up on Apollo. Watch, he'll be losing that. He'll be losing the United States Championship quick. So Caleb Braxton ends up congratulating Apollo Crews. He ends up talking about how he can't believe that he's standing as the United States Champion. So Caleb Braxton ends up bringing up to Apollo Crews his title defense, and asks him if he's decided on who his opponent will be. He ends up saying that there are a lot of superstars he'd like to defend the U.S. title against. But he says this superstar he's picking is truly deserving. Apollo Crews ended up picking Kevin Owens. So that's a good choice. That's a good choice for, Apollo's first title defense. He picked a good opponent than what WWE possibly might have picked for him. So Kevin Owens then came out, and Kevin Owens ended up getting on the mic. He ended up congratulating Apollo Crews. Owens ended up saying that he appreciates the offer, and he's certainly not one to turn down a title shot. He says, especially since it's been a while since he had one. He says he feels like this is almost coming out of pity, especially after what happened between him and Angel Garza last week. So Apollo Crews ended up saying to Kevin Owens that it's all about respect, and that's not about pity. Kevin Owens ended up saying then Garza will get what's coming to him soon enough. Kevin Owens ended up saying that he does feel bad. He says to Apollo Crews that his first title reign is going to be a real short one. And so that was basically what Kevin Owens had to say. But then we had the match. The match started. It was back and forth between the both of them. Apollo Crews ended up delivering a drop kick to Kevin Owens. Went for a cover. Kevin Owens ended up kicking out at one. Kevin Owens ended up delivering a senton from the ring apron to Apollo Crews on the floor. And Kevin Owens ended up bringing Apollo Crews back in the ring. Ends up hitting another senton to Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews ended up kicking out. Kevin Owens went for tries to go for the pop-up powerbomb. And then the referee ends up checking on Apollo Crews because it looked like that he might have low-blowed, Kevin Owens might have low-blowed Apollo Crews because Apollo Crews ended up going down. So the referee was like to Apollo Crews, "Oh, can you continue? Can you continue?" Apollo Crews ended up saying yes. Yes, he could continue. So Kevin Owens was frustrated. The referee ends up backing Kevin Owens off. Apollo Crews ends up starting to get some strikes to Kevin Owens. They start brawling back to the floor. You had, when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, the match was still going on. Apollo Crews was unloading on Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens then headbutted Apollo Crews. And Apollo ended up hitting Kevin Owens with a boot. Apollo Crews went for a power slam to Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens ended up kicking out at 2. And Kevin Owens ended up jumping to the second rope, and he nails a moonsault to Apollo Crews. And Apollo ended up kicking out at 2. Kevin Owens was trying to go for the pop-up powerbomb again, but Apollo Crews ended up dodging it, and then hits an enziguri to Kevin Owens. And then we had Angel Garza and Andrade, Cien, Almas come to the ring, and they end up attacking both Apollo Crews and Kevin Owens. Referee ends up calling for the bell. So the match ended in a no contest. And with this, you know it's going to lead to a tag match. And that's exactly what happened. Led to a tag match. Tag match, this was short. And Kevin Owens ended up issuing the challenge, which the commentator said he issued the challenge during the commercial. So we had Andrade, Cien, Almas unloading on Apollo Crews in the corner. You had Garza coming in, ends up leveling Apollo Crews in midair. And Angel Garza ends up grounding Apollo Crews. Andrade ends up coming back in. They end up doing a double team to Apollo Crews. Andrade was just stomping away on Apollo Crews. Andrade delivered a running boot to Apollo. And then you had, sorry about that, but I was saying you had Apollo Crews end up blocking the wing clipper from Angel Garza, end up tagging in Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens ended up chasing Angel Garza. Andrade ended up tagging back in. And Garza was shown off on the ring apron. And at the end of the match, you had Apollo Crews end up delivering a enziguri to Andrade Cien Almas, and then a sit-down powerbomb. There you go. Apollo Crews and Kevin Owens end up winning the match. Overall, match itself, it was short. Wasn't, a perfect match by any means, though. And then we had Kayla Braxton. Kayla Braxton was backstage with Asuka, the Raw Women's Champion. She ends up saying that she's confident about beating Nia Jax at Backlash. And she says Asuka is always better, while Charlotte stays the same. So Asuka ends up saying she never bows down to anyone. So that was basically what Asuka had to say. It's whatever. And then we had the bowling battle between the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders. So the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders, they were at a bowling alley. And we had the same woman from the past two segments that they did. She appeared. And, they're doing, bowling. They're doing midnight bowling. And Angelo Dawkins ended up calling it smoke season, because they were taunting the Viking Raiders. And the Viking Raiders end up winning the bowling battle. They were up 2-2. But I'm like, I did not care for this. I do not give a shit with what they're doing with the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits. This is how sad. This is the fate of the Monday Night Raw Tag Team division. How sad. This fucking sucks. Sorry about that again, but I was saying, how sad. How sad this is the state of the Monday Night Raw Tag Team division. Absolute fucking garbage. What's next that WWE is going to make the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders do? What's next? There's going to be baseball? They're going to be counting how many home runs they hit over a fence? Guarantee you, baseball is going to be possibly one of the things that they're going to make these guys do. Watch. It's coming. I see it definitely coming. Awful. Absolute fucking garbage. And the only reason why they're doing this is because they don't have any tag teams on, the Monday Night Raw Tag Team division. The tag team division on Monday Night Raw, and not to mention SmackDown, on both shows, the tag team division is dead. They are dead. AEW's tag team division is a whole lot much better, a whole lot much hotter than the tag team division on both Monday Night Raw and on SmackDown. It's absolutely pathetic. So then we had Billie Kay versus Nikki Cross. Did not even care for this. I mean, you had the Iconics music ended up hidden, and it cut backstage because we saw Billie Kay and Peyton Royce arguing with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. So then we had Nikki Cross went at it with Billie Kay. We had Alexa Bliss and Peyton Royce at ringside. Nikki Cross ended up fighting Billie Kay off. And we had Billie Kay end up winning the match. There you go. That's how much I gave a shit about this match. Did not even care. So then we had Charlie Caruso. Charlie Caruso was backstage with Drew McIntyre. She was asking if Drew McIntyre is concerned about Bobby Lashley when he faces MVP. McIntyre ends up telling Charlie Caruso that he loves challenges, and that if MVP wants to get back in the ring to take another Claymore, that's fine with him. I'm like, why is MVP still even here? Wasn't his final match supposed to be at the Royal Rumble? Or the Monday Night Raw after the Royal Rumble? Why is he still here? We don't need to see MVP every single week. So Bobby Lashley, he ended up saying that Bobby Lashley can have another one also. So McIntyre ended up going on about lining everyone who wants one up. And he's going to give them a one-way ticket to Claymore Country. And pretty much that was basically that. So McIntyre talking about his match with MVP, which we saw later on. And then we saw Rey Mysterio with this whole retirement thing that he was going to give. And he wasn't at the Performance Center. He was from his home on Skype or whatever. So Rey Mysterio ended up saying that he isn't sure if or when he can return. Because Tom Phillips was asking Rey Mysterio about the eye injury. So Samoa Joe ended up asking Mysterio if he will retire. Mysterio ended up telling Joe that he doesn't know if he will retire. He ended up saying that he could be cleared to return in a few weeks, or he could never get cleared. And Joe ends up asking if there's anything at all Mysterio would like to address about Seth Rollins' retirement ceremony for him. Mysterio ends up saying that Seth Rollins carries a lot of negativity for him to be a messiah. And he also says for Seth Rollins to say, you know, he was chosen, that Rey was chosen as a sacrifice is just wrong. So Mysterio ended up saying that he wasn't chosen by some higher power. And he ended up saying that Seth Rollins tried sidelining him. So then we saw Dominic, Rey's son Dominic. He ended up appearing. He ended up saying what his dad is trying to say is Seth Rollins is no messiah, and that he's barely a higher power. Dominic ended up saying that something needs to be done. Something by a member of this family. So we had Ray end up telling Dominic to chill. And Dominic ends up asking him, how can he chill? Because, he's obviously Dominic is, upset at what Seth Rollins did to his father. So you end up saying that Rollins is full of a bunch of BS. And he says, we both know that. So Ray ends up talking Dominic down. He ends up thanking everyone for reaching out and also for their concerns. Ray ends up saying that he knows they're looking for an official statement on Seth Rollins' retirement ceremony. And Ray ends up saying, damn Seth Rollins for everything he's put him and his family through. Ray ended up saying that his family helplessly watched when Rollins jammed his eye into the ring steps. And Mysterio went on about how hard it was for his family to watch that. He ended up saying that he truly is a man of forgiveness. So Mysterio ended up saying that he will never forgive Rollins for what he did to him and what he put his family through. He ended up saying, damn you, Seth Rollins. So Rey Mysterio ended up walking off. Dominic was still sitting there. He ends up staring into the camera. And Dominic ended up saying that Seth Rollins is a man of scripture. So, an eye for an eye. So, pretty much that was basically that. But I thought this was decent. This was decent from Rey Mysterio. And, having Dominic there. I think what might happen, and everybody's predicting this, what might happen is Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio. They have their match. Dominic might be there. And it would be a surprise if Dominic turns on his father and joins Seth Rollins. And, he will be one of Seth Rollins' disciples. That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool for the storyline. But everybody's calling it. I think, I could see that. I could see WWE doing that. But that's my prediction. So, that would be cool. But I thought this was decent from Mysterio and Dominic. Then we had Nia Jax versus Kairi Sane. Nia Jax ended up coming out. She ended up getting on the mic. And she ended up saying that she did not start this feud with Asuka and Kairi Sane. She ended up saying that she has been attacked by both of them repeatedly. So Nia Jax ended up warning everyone not to fall for Kairi and Asuka's acts. She ends up saying that it's all smoke and mirrors. And pretty much Nia ended up saying that Asuka didn't win the title. She was given it because of hormones. She said that she was given it because Becky Lynch got pregnant and felt guilty because she couldn't wrestle. So she ends up promising to expose Asuka. And that was what Nia had to say. So that was basically that. So Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back, we saw Rob Gronkowski. Oh, God. My God, we had to see this guy again. So we saw Gronk with the Jabba Ninja Turtle 24/7 title at his house. One of his friends was filming him to do a TikTok video. And we saw R-Truth come by. He was dressed as a gardener. Gronk's friend ended up telling him not to worry. And we saw Gronk's friend take off his jacket. And it was revealed, the guy revealed a referee t-shirt. So this led to R-Truth getting the pin on Gronkowski, ends up winning the title. So there you go. R-Truth wins the Jabba Ninja Turtle 24/7 title again. So Truth ends up running off with the belt. Gronk's friend ended up saying that he has a new career now, and that he's going to be playing for the Bucks, the Tampa Bay Bucks. So Gronkowski was upset, and that was that. But did not care for this shit. This was absolute garbage. And that Jabba Ninja Turtle 24/7 title needs to be fucking retired. How many times am I going to say this? I say, oh, the title should be retired. But no, WWE wants to keep this fucking title on TV. For what reason, I don't know. A lot of people don't even give a shit about this title. Why are they still keeping it on TV? It's garbage. Absolute fucking garbage. So then we saw Asuka backstage. She was watching as Kairi Sane came to the ring. And this was a short match, but the end of the match was really brutal because you had Nia Jax end up taking control as the match began, starts dominating on Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane ended up jumping on Nia Jax's back with a sleeper hold, and we had Kairi Sane end up kicking Nia in the back of the head. So Kairi Sane ended up going to the top. Nia Jax ended up delivering a headbutt to Kairi Sane. You had Nia Jax end up pulling Kairi Sane out of the ring apron because Kairi Sane ended up running the ropes, ended up delivering a baseball slide, and then Nia Jax ended up moving. So Nia Jax ended up pulling Kairi Sane out of the apron, and she ends up launching her face first into the ring steps. And Kairi Sane's face looked like she actually went face first into the ring steps. So when you watch it back, you'll see you'll see Kairi Sane's face go head first into the ring steps. So the referee was checking on Kairi Sane. So we had Nia Jax end up grabbing Kairi Sane, brought her back into the ring, delivered a sorry about that, but Nia Jax ended up delivering a leg drop to Kairi Sane. And there you go. Nia Jax ended up winning the match. And later on, it was revealed on online, and we saw a gash on Kairi Sane's forehead from the headfirst ring step thing that she took, where she went face first into the ring steps. She had a small gash on her head. That's crazy. So then we had Randy Orton. Randy Orton was backstage. Orton ended up talking about how he's been catching up on WWE Network content. And he ended up noticing how everyone thinks Ric Flair is the greatest to ever do it. Randy Orton agreed. And he then turned into Monday Night Raw last week and saw Ric Flair say that Randy Orton is the best to lace up the boots. Orton ends up telling Edge that he once said the same. And he ended up saying that Edge said 2 weeks ago that Orton didn't have a passion for the business, and that he was handed everything, and that he just did all this for a paycheck. Orton ended up saying that Edge can't stand it, that he's phoned it in and half-assed it, and that he still accomplished more than anyone else in the back. He ended up saying that Edge scratched and clawed to pretend to be the heroes from his childhood. So Orton ended up saying that at Backlash, he will prove he's better than Edge. He ended up saying that Edge's storybook ending will be written by the 3 most destructive letters in sports entertainment. And those 3 letters are RKO. So that was the promo that Randy Orton ended up cutting, but more hype for this greatest wrestling match ever, which is not going to be the greatest wrestling match ever. I'm so sick of hearing this. Can't wait until Backlash comes and we get this match over with, so we don't have to hear greatest wrestling match ever, because it's not going to be the greatest wrestling match ever. So then we saw Asuka versus Charlotte, champion versus champion. I mean, how many times have we seen Asuka and Charlotte go at it before? Nothing new. Nothing new. Charlotte ended up winning the match by countout, I think, because at the end of the match, you had Nia Jax coming out. Nia Jax was mimicking Asuka, and she was wearing one of Asuka's masks. She has the whole, green makeup that Asuka wears. So she ends up attacking Asuka, and Asuka gets counted out. The bell rings. So Asuka ends up turning back to look at the referee, and then Nia Jax ends up delivering a clothesline to Asuka on the ramp. So pretty much that was basically what happened. But this, whatever. Did not even care. I mean, how many times have we saw Asuka versus Charlotte? Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, when Charlotte came out, she got on the mic as remotes from everyone. Possibly, I predict that everyone was picking up their remotes to change the channel or put their TV on mute. So she ends up saying that she has more words for the development talents in the crowd, because the crowd was, booing her. And why not? That's good that they're booing her. We're booing her because we don't want to see her 3 nights a week. See her on Monday, see her on Wednesday, and then possibly see her on Friday. Good. I applaud the NXT stars and developmental talents booing her. Good for you all. That'll give appreciation, that'll give somewhat reason for WWE to stop having Charlotte on all 3 shows. We do not need to see Charlotte on Raw or SmackDown. Keep her on NXT. She's the NXT Women's Champion. She should not be on all 3 shows. She should not be on Raw. She should not be on SmackDown. Keep her on NXT. So Charlotte ended up wanting one of them to be the next Rhea Ripley or Io Shirai. Charlotte ends up knowing that a woman who has a history of bowing down. And that woman is Asuka. So Charlotte ended up going on about Asuka's accomplishments. Says it seems like the Empress wants to be like the Queen. Then Asuka ended up coming out. The match started. So just had to mention that. Like all of you will possibly care. I know you all don't care. And neither do I. Did not even care what Charlotte had to say. Sick of tired of seeing Charlotte every single week. So then we had Charlie Caruso. She was backstage with Lana. So she was asking about, MVP versus Drew McIntyre. And we saw a replay of what happened earlier with MVP, where she said that MVP is just trying to use Bobby Lashley to revive his career. And then MVP ended up denying it. Ended up saying that Lana is just trying to do the same thing. And then we saw, of course, Lana then slapped MVP. So we saw that again. Like we didn't see it earlier. It's like WWE was like, oh, we forgot that happened earlier, so we got to show it again. I'm like, we just saw it earlier. They think we're stupid. So Charlie Caruso ended up saying that Bobby Lashley has asked Lana to stay away from ringside so Lana doesn't distract the match. So Charlie Caruso ended up asking Lana if she thinks that Lashley or MVP's idea, or if she thinks that's Lashley or MVP's idea. Lana ended up saying that she's not sure. She ended up saying that she knows that wasn't her Bobby, as she would call him, and that he would never do that. So she ended up saying that her Bobby requested she stay away from the ring during the match, but he never said anything about MVP's match. So Lana ended up giggling. She ended up walking off, and that was that. But whatever. Then we had the main event, McIntyre versus MVP. Did not even give a shit about this match. This was an easy win for McIntyre. We saw this once before. We got to see this again. Why? And I asked earlier, why is MVP still here? Why? So we had Drew McIntyre out there. Bobby Lashley was out there. Lana ended up coming out. And at the end of the match, McIntyre ended up delivering the Claymore. There you go. McIntyre ended up winning the match. But there was a point in the match where McIntyre ended up launching himself over the top rope to the floor. He took out Bobby Lashley and MVP. And that's when McIntyre returned into the ring. MVP was in there. McIntyre ended up delivering the Claymore, win the match. And then, post-match, Lashley comes into the ring and ends up applying the full Nelson to McIntyre. Manhandles McIntyre in the middle of the ring. And that's how Monday Night Raw went off the air. They were so quick to go off the air. So that was Monday Night Raw tonight. Terrible show. Absolute garbage show. The only match that was good was Aleister Black and Seth Rollins. Everything else, did not even care. Well, maybe the Rey Mysterio, Dominic segment, which I thought was decent. So everything else, absolute garbage. But anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Also check out my previous video, which was the movie review of Matinee, an underrated Joe Dante film. So definitely go check that out. And until the next video, which it won't be which Dynamite review will possibly be up on Thursday. There will be no Dynamite review on Wednesday night. So I'll have to wait until Thursday. So until then, I'll see you all later.